Hello, how are you doing today? I'm Fiadh. I'm an energy and spirit worker, Reiki, and healing arts practitioner if you don't know who I am. And today I'm doing something a little bit different because what a day, what a month, just all of September, what a month. I have attempted to film a new energy work session. All of my test shoots went amazingly, and then every single time I tried to actually film, the files were corrupted. So multiple hours of filming that. I'm just like, you know what? We're not going to bother anymore. We don't need it. Another day, another time. We're going to try something new. So this is going to be a little bit of a check-in of what I feel like larger energetic themes for October are, how I'm feeling about October, how I'm feeling about the past month, and a little bit of tarot. We're going with the flow here. I don't know what I'm doing. We're going with the flow. Okay. Bear with me here. So I got what was going to be the theme of the energy work session that never happened, but I figure we can still talk about this theme. Very similar to another video I filmed not too long ago. And I got this while I was meditating. Forging your own path and leading with authenticity. Which seems very on brand, because if you ever watch other tarot readers on YouTube or visit any, I think there's been a very common theme across the board for a lot of people of reinvention, of innovation, of kind of needing to change and step out of the spiral of the old story of where you thought you were, and bringing in some self-trust. My cat's here distracting me. Bringing in a little bit of self-trust in not being afraid to go into uncharted waters, and having the self-trust to take some risks, try something that you may have always wanted to do but shied away from, or creating some expansion in your own thought process and being able to see things from outside the box and speaking up if you have an idea, whatever it might be. There's really just this need for innovation and reinventing what we thought things used to be. That doesn't make sense. Mercury's in retrograde, y'all. I'm struggling. I'm also very over-caffeinated. Anyway, focus. So I intuitively pulled this tarot spread from my 365 tarot spreads by Sasha. Could not find the author's name. And the card and the spread that came into being is very on point. It's the Supernova spread. And I'm just going to read from this. The last supernova, a vast star explosion to be seen by the naked eye, was spotted on this day in northern Italy in 1604. This is for October 9th, but we're going with it. Supernovas aid in the formation of new stars because the shock waves contain essential clouds of gas and heavy elements that only result from the supernova. And then on the bottom, you see a little death card. The death card echoes the lessons of galactic supernovas. The cycle of life observed on Earth repeats itself in the far reaches of outer space. The death of a star makes all life possible. Our life is made possible through the death of living things, and thus the cycle repeats through the known universe. So I thought this was really interesting, because for every tarot card or tarot reading I have pulled for myself in all this past month, which I have been very much struggling just with feeling confused and uncertain and anxious and overly stressed this past month. And across the board, like, the death card was the one that came out the most. And in every tarot reading I've received from others, even just for fun, both either the death or the star card have come out. So there's definitely a common theme in my life, and I know other people seem to be resonating with these themes of transformation, of rebirth. And what I'm seeing is also, once again, forging the path ahead, going into uncharted waters, really being able to stand strong in your own authenticity and not really needing to follow others' paths anymore or trying to fit yourself inside of a mold. With that being said, the supernova spread is what came out for this month, for October, for the collective. And we're going to talk about this a little bit of what does this mean for the collective? What needs to be let go of? How can we move forward? And how can we innovate? So the center card, what needs to end? The Tower. Very, very on brand. Also a card that's been coming out a lot for everyone. Tower, what needs to end? Really anything that is built on unstable or shaky foundations. Really everything. There's a lot ending right now, both in the microcosm of our lives, of our internal world, of our more close world. I know I've had a lot of friendships ending, relationships ending, situations with people that I'm really fully letting go of, which is a struggle. It's uncomfortable, but it needs to be destroyed because it was not solid in the first place. And realizing that I've been holding on to a lot of things that really were never good for me. My eyes look very red right now. I'm not crying. I just am tired. Pardon. So, the Tower. And I'm talking from my own experiences, but I think a lot of people can resonate. And I know a lot of people in my own life have been struggling with these massive, confusing, uncertain situations in their own lives, and there's a lot of those in the macrocosm of the world. The world is very uncertain and shaky right now. That is the unfortunate truth. But there's an upside to that the destruction is revealing. We're seeing the truth to situations versus the illusions we've projected onto situations. And anything that's not solid, like the lightning is hitting the dead part of the tree. It needs to be cut off. The base is still firmly planted. If it's still alive, it's going to grow. But what is already dead is falling away. Basically, essentially. Hopefully that makes sense. So what needs to end, and why was it here in the first place? The Hanged Man. Another bat, another symbol of kind of stillness, of death, of rebirth. Why was it here? Really, it's all about learning. I think why this past month has been so confusing for people, for everyone, or people have been struggling through it, is because we're second guessing all of the things we thought we used to know. And we're taking those lessons and we can carry them with us when we are ready to move into action again. But we definitely needed this moment to surrender, to release, and allow things to be revealed that may have been uncomfortable. But that needed to be shown because, once again, they're shaky. They're not on solid foundation. It's not helping anyone. And why must it go? Wheel of Fortune. Seriously, y'all, the spread is very interesting. I pulled these cards and I was like, why must it go? So this is like kind of tough to read for in terms of there's not one specific thing that we're leaving behind. There's a lot. There's like an entire identity, an entire past version of self that is being let go of. And like an entire life that's just like, it's a bit hard to like generalize that into something tangible in our life. It's a lot of things. Wheel of Fortune. Why must it go? Karmic cycles. There's ups and downs, lessons that have been repeating that we're ready to learn from and step away from. This goes back to what I was talking about, the spiral. We talk about healing as a spiral, and we see the cycles of situations we're in, relationships we engage in, life circumstances that often seem to repeat in our own lives. And then for every one of those, we kind of move through this spiral, and we can see things from new perspectives, which is fantastic. But there's very much a notion of stepping out of the spiral now. Like, those cycles are done. We don't need to learn from them anymore. We're really cutting off those cords, those karmic layers. That's what I was getting the other day while meditating. Like, moving through those layers of old grime, of old debt, and stepping out of the spiral into a new cycle. Because the wheel is always turning. But you can take a step back and maybe disengage from that, from the depths. Ascend past those cycles that you've learned from. You don't need them anymore. You don't need to cling to them. You don't need to cling to the people involved in them. We're moving past them. So how do I destroy this? General I. How do we as a collective move past this tower? Death. Rebirth. Just full-on transformation. A lot of this is very much stuff that's kind of outside of our control. There's very much a lesson in you taking the reins in terms of your own actions, but surrendering to where it's leading you. So death. What can I say about death? We're transforming. If you're called to this in any way, shape, or form, you're probably also stepping into basically an entire new world for yourself. And then creating and building that entire new world for yourself. And that can be extremely lonely. It can be extremely isolating. Especially if you're innovating or trying to create something new. Trying to build this entire new world for yourself, you know. You're not literally building the world. You can, if you want to. Who am I to limit you? But just know that when you step away from the old, you are creating space for new people, for new situations, for new lives that are much more aligned, that do benefit you, that don't carry the same heavy baggage and karma that the past held. You can't cling to the past because that just takes up space in your life for the future, for the good. I mean, you can keep things that do serve you, of course. But what we're seeing is what is a specific step to be sure I am rid of this. I'm kind of going with the flow in terms of where the cards are leading me versus the actual spread. I read very intuitively versus kind of clinging to like each individual card. I like to tell it as a story. So we're seeing Ace of Cups and Two of Cups, which I love. Because you're really kind of going to get some emotional fulfillment. There is an offering of relationships, of partnerships, of business contracts, of mentors, of teachers. I also, while I was shuffling, saw the Hierophant during this. So a lot of like potentially a teacher or a mentor. But really taking steps to engage with people and partners that balance you, that genuinely fill you up with actions and inspiration that lead you with your heart versus feeling like a burden. Finding a bit of equilibrium in what we put into versus what we receive back. So there's a big call to balance, just to find things that give you return as much as you engage and give to it. And that's not always people. Sometimes it's an art project or a startup or family who you spend time around, whatever it may be. I don't know. This is very general, but really anything that fills you up beyond the surface level. Like, there's an opportunity to connect to situations and people who fill you up beyond the surface level, because often when we talk about self-care, it can be very surface level, and it doesn't need to be. We can go deeper, and this opportunity is presenting you to really genuinely follow your emotional self, your heart self, your higher self, to something that is more fulfilling. And what aids your conviction? The Queen of Cups. She's here. Once again, this could be a person, could be a mentor, someone who is possibly a counselor or a social worker or a teacher, someone who is very emotionally savvy or wise. Also be you. You've done a lot of healing of being aware of your emotions and knowing what is or isn't good for you in your own life, and being able to recognize that, because that can be very difficult for some people, or it can be very difficult to actually take action over things that are emotionally draining. You've done the work. You're very emotionally intuitive. You know what is or isn't good for you. And you are self-aware. To be able to tap into your own energies, to how you feel, and trust in that. And the final result is the Lovers. Choices have to be made. This all isn't happening outside of you. You have to take the reins a little bit. But if you make a decision, if you start making more decisions that are aligned, that really genuinely nourish you, that feel very genuinely inspired, there's a lot of alignment to be found here. Once again, possibly a partnership. I don't generally read just for romance, though. This is all major arcana. Like, most of it is major arcana, so if it is a romantic partnership, it's going to be a big one. There is alignment here. You're kind of soaring above the debris of the past. We're going past it. You just have to make a choice at the end of the day. Once again, as I wrote down, forging your own path. That's not something that happens from outside of you. You're making the effort. You have to trust in yourself, though. That sounded very forceful. I apologize if that sounded bossy. But yes, please trust in yourself. So I hope that was slightly helpful. I couldn't go into too many specifics. This was very broad, archetypal energy. But it does feel very, very on brand for how this past month has been leading up to now we're moving into October. And I don't predict the future, so I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen within October. I'm also terrible at astrology. I know there's a crap ton of planets in retrograde, though. So it does seem like the perfect time to really, look back at those old cycles that we may have been repeating and try something new. Even if it's scary, even if it's a risk, no progress has ever been made in the history of humanity without taking a risk. Like, you don't get anywhere by playing it safe. I don't know where else I was going with that. I hope that was helpful in some way for some people. And we're bringing in this energy of the star again, you know. A star is destroyed during a supernova, as they mentioned. But all that is destroyed is just creating space and using those materials to form something new. Anyway, with all of that being said, and hopefully this actually turns out alright, because I have been struggling with my technology nonstop. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of their day. Thank you so much for being here, for hanging out and chatting. And pardon my slipping over words and anything that didn't make sense. Spur of the moment. Have a good day.